Hey guys, this is part 10 of the Java game programming tutorial. In this video I'm going to be adding more stuff to the enemy class. So let me just take a look at what I have so far. Right. So I have 3 different types of enemies. Blue, red, and green. But I only have 1 rank for each. So I'm going to go ahead and try to create more ranks. If rank is 2, speed is 2, radius is... This time the radius is going to be 10, health is going to be 2. So I'm just going to create a couple of ranks. Health 3, rank 4. I think I can go up to rank 4. And this one's going to be there. And 30. Okay, and I have this idea. I was playing this Flash game with the bubbles and stuff that would explode whenever you hit them, and they would explode into smaller bubbles. I thought that was pretty awesome. So I'm gonna try to make that here explode. Okay, how am I gonna do this? First, I need to check if the rank is greater than 1, because only higher ranks get to explode. Let's see. I'm gonna need an amount that would the enemies would explode into. So let's see, the blue ones. I guess they split up into 3 smaller ones. Okay, so I need a loop in order to create the new enemies. So E is new enemy. And this time I'm going to use the same type, and I'm going to use a rank 1 lower. I think that's the constructor that I used. Yeah, type and rank. So, I need to be careful about this thing though. Actually, we'll see how it works out for now. Just set a new enemy game panel. If we go back to game panel, here the enemy list was public static, so I can use that game panel dot enemies dot add e. I guess that would work. Okay, but we're not calling explode anywhere, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's see, we need to check explosions when an enemy is dead. So here, or we check for dead enemies, check for power-ups, and oh, get rid of this. This makes sure, just make sure you remember to get rid of that before we add score and remove the enemy. Actually, we could place the enemy there. So after we remove the enemy, we're going to do e dot explode. That is cool. And the only problem with this is that explode just creates a new enemy, and it doesn't create a new enemy where it should. It's gonna start over at the top of the screen, so I need a way to set the X and Y values of the new enemy. So how would I do that? I guess in the explode function I can give it coordinates. And here I set this up, just give it the original there. Oh, I don't even need to do that. That was my mistake, because this is the enemy class and I'm calling it e.explode. So here all I have to do is do e.x, or x is equal to this, or wait, e.x is equal to this.x, and e.y is equal to this.y. But now I need a random angle. Let's see here. Radian and speed. Radian, just radian. I need the radian. E.radian is something. First I need to figure out the correct angle. When an enemy explodes, it should just explode in any random angle. But I have to make sure that the enemy is ready. So, I need to check if ready, then I'm going to make the angle the same as before. 140 plus 20. Excuse me. Otherwise, if the enemy is ready, then use any random angle times 360. So that should be good. E.rad is equal to, I need to change it to radians. Angle. Forgot the equal sign here. Cool. Those are all private, so this probably won't compile. Let me just check. Ooh, what's that? I is less than amount? That's weird. That does compile. Probably because I am in this class. I'm allowed to edit it, even though it's private. So, that's that. Explode. So now we need some higher rank enemies. Go back to create new enemies. Wave 1, we have 4 enemies of type 1-1. Wave 2, let's have 4 enemies of 1-1 and 2 enemies of type 2-1. Cool. In wave 3, we're going to make this a little more challenging. We're going to have 2 enemies of type 3-1 and 1 enemy of type 4-1. Oh wait, it's type and rank. This is supposed to be the other way around. 1-2, 1-3, and 1-4. Okay, let's see how that works. Wave 1, I got the basic enemies. Oh yeah, power up. Oh, and those are the larger ones. And they explode into smaller ones. Cool. Ooh, those are big. That is awesome. Whoever came up with that exploding bubble idea. That's just awesome. Oh. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I'm gonna change one thing with the enemies. Whenever the enemies are hit, it doesn't even look like they're getting hit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to enemy and I'm going to create a small timer that would tell that would look like they're flinching. Just like when the player gets hit, he turns red for a little bit. When the enemy gets hit, I want him to turn to a different color for a little bit, in order to tell us that he's actually getting hit. So if we follow the same procedure as in player, what we used was a boolean and a timer, long timer. So private boolean hit and private boolean hit timer. Not boolean, long. So those two things, and in player what we did was set it to false 0, hit false, hit timer 0, and what did we do here? In updates. Oh, right. Here, I want to make one change to player.java if recovering. I don't want to check this all the time, only when the player is actually recovering. So to go ahead and wrap that around in if recovering. So same thing in enemy. In updates, we want to do if hit. Then we want to check the amount of time that has passed since the hit in milliseconds. System.now time minus hit timer divided by 1,000,000. And now we want to check if the elapsed time is greater than, let's keep the enemy on for 50 milliseconds. So after that, hit no longer hit, and we set the hit timer to 0, I think. Was it 0? Yeah. And we set the hit and hit timer up when it actually gets hit here. So let's do that. If actually hit equals false, I mean not false, true, and hit timer is the current time. Awesome. Now we want to actually draw the change happening. So if over here we're going to do if hit, then we're going to change the color used. Otherwise, we're going to use the default color. So just wrap that around with the if else. So if we're hit, we're going to color the enemy just light color, I guess, white, color.white, and this is just going to be color.white.darker. Awesome. So now we should see the enemy getting hit because it's flashing white. Hardly. Well, you can hardly see these guys because they only have 1 health. What about the big guys? There it is. They are flashing indeed. Let me just check on the next wave, the big guys, make sure they really are flashing. There it is. Okay, so that makes sense. Very awesome. So I'm running out of time in this video. Actually, I have a lot of things that I want to do with this game, so there's probably going to be a few videos left. Like, for example, more graphical stuff, like the hit enemy hit, and maybe a little bit of an explosion, stuff like that. Because even if you use like primitive graphics like this game here, it can still look visually appealing if you have a lot of stuff, a lot of cool looking stuff going on the screen. So that's what I'm going to be doing basically for the rest of the series, just adding on some ideas for visual graphics and stuff. So yeah, that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one.